Alright, sorry about that. Hello everyone, this is Crota giving you a shoutcast between MoMan and DieStar here on Metalopolis. MoMan spawning as the purple Zerg player at the 8 o'clock position. Meanwhile, we have DieStar spawning as the blue Terran. So this will be Terran versus Zerg here on Metalopolis. Should be an interesting matchup, should be a great matchup. This was taken from, I believe, Craft Cup, a recent Craft Cup semi-final match between these two players. I believe this is the middle game in the best of 3. I'm not 100% sure, and apparently the trash talking already begins. We now see an Overlord making its way over here to the south side. 6 o'clock location will quickly come across DieStar and will be able to reveal what exactly his strategies are going to be. Now, curious as to what DieStar is going to be doing here on this map here on Metalopolis. Metalopolis normally talked about as favoring Zerg just because of the ability to easily take a 3rd, 4th, and 5th expansion, especially on long spawns like this between the walking distances. So we'll see how this matchup particularly works out as a barracks now being placed down on this front door. With MoMan opening up and being able to see his opponent this early in the game, I'm curious as to what exactly or his strategy will be so far. I'm taking a look back over here. It does look like a hatchery will be placed down on the low ground, so it will be a 14 hatchery most likely, as a drone just sitting here and waiting for those an additional 5 minerals. There we go, finally able to grow up and be a hatchery. We should be seeing a spawning pool come out in just a moment as well. No, going in for 15 over 18, so getting a very economic heavy game as he was able to spot the refinery. So he comes in, sees that there's a refinery, knows that there is not going to be a mass barracks play, and now decides to go for a little bit of a later spawning pool. Now sitting at 15 over 18 food now. That spawning pool will be up in about, what, 40 seconds or so, and by that time the Marines may already be out, but I don't think it will be enough, as MoMan will be able to train up multiple Marines MoMan will be able to train up multiple Zerglings fairly easily, especially with an Overlord now unsupply locking MoMan after he tries to train up that one queen. Low ground expansion nearly in completion. Still a drone sitting on that low ground, perhaps trying to make sure that no bunker is being placed on that low ground. And not much really happening. One Marine trying to get some damage onto that Overlord. The Overlord, however, was in a very, very safe position and will be able to scout out any dropships that come along this side. Perhaps another medevac should be placed down over here in just a moment as well. Back over here, we now see a factory coming into play, and we are only running off of one refinery. So I'm not sure what DieStar wants to go for. I would say Hellions, but Blue Flame Hellions may work out for him just because Blue Flame Hellions do not require that much gas. The Tech Lab and then the research, but Hellions obviously do not cost any gas and will be able to get a lot of damage. SCVs repairing each other outside of the mineral line. And now we'll be able to move out. The SCVs are there more to try to absorb damage. Those SCVs there in the front will be able to take up some of that focus fire from those Zerglings. 2 Zerglings, however, moving out and will not be able to spot this army as it's coming in. There is one Spine Crawler coming in, a Creep Tumor now being laid down. The Spine Crawler is not going to be completed as the Queen now tries to engage. Zerglings now trying to engage as well. And that Queen, very, very critical that Creep Tumor gets down. If that Creep Tumor, the SCV gets taken down as it tries to be repaired, as the Spine Crawler now going to come into combat range, unable to take down that last SCV there, and now one Queen with one Spine Crawler trying to take down multiple Marines. But I believe this front door will have a little bit of problems as Hellions are now joining the party. Hellions may be able to make their way over. We need to get some, and perhaps a Queen onto this ramp. No, the Hellions are going to simply just run by there and get some damage, so that is going to be a problem. The Hellion getting the Queen down to 28 hit points, as that Queen is going to be in a little bit of trouble. Needs to back off down to 7 hit points. That Queen is very, very crucial to this army as a new Queen comes in and joins in. So MoMan in a bit of trouble trying to fight back against a very, very large, a very, very tactical army. Not even large, it's a tactical army of Hellions and Marines with only one Spine Crawler on that front door. With only one Spine Crawler on that front door, those Hellions were simply able to run by, and by not parking a Queen there, the Hellions are now just able to run around pretty freely in this space. No metabolic boost on those Lings, so those Lings are not able to catch up to those Hellions and get the damage dealt. Zerglings now trying to finally catch up, and now because the Hellions are stationary, able to finish that off there. And now we see an Overseer. So an Overseer being trained in order to do some scouting. Kind of curious as to why MoMan didn't train up this Overlord here as the Overseer, as 2 Zerglings will be able to finish off this one Marine very, very easily. Marine doesn't stand a chance, trying to run a marathon home, able to run into some Hellion Flame and torch down those Zerglings. Overseer now coming in will be able to see everything he wants to see, sees that there is a starport, sees the barracks, a factory, and another barracks being placed down, I believe. Taking a look at MoMan's view, no, he only sees a command center here, so he knows that his opponent has not set up that expansion, and that's all he wanted to see, interestingly enough. Vikings now being trained. The Viking will go Overlord hunting in just a moment, shooting down this Overlord, and perhaps even trying to go after more units. We now see a Baneling's Nest coming in as a response, and now reactors are being placed down, so DieStar going to be in trouble, as those Banelings are going to die very quickly, or sorry, those Marines are going to die very quickly to Banelings. And still fighting off a little bit of a cold. One Viking will be able to finish off this Overlord down to 7 hit points. There it goes, and Viking already dealing the first blow towards those supply depots as the Baneling Nest nearing completion. We now see a Spire also being hidden in between these 2 bases here. Kind of difficult to spot. It also looks like it could be a Spine Crawler if you're not careful. If you just do a quick scanner sweep and you don't actually click on the building, it's sometimes difficult to see what that actual building will be. The Viking now making its way over will be able to spot even further. The Queen now trying to get underneath, able to get off a lot of damage onto that Viking, but Viking, I believe, should be fine as long as it doesn't fly into the path of another Queen, and it doesn't fly into that second path there, and we'll be able to back out of there very, very easily. We now see Marines and 1 bunker down over here, both sides with relatively small armies. Yeah, 900 versus 525, not really enough to deal damage, or deal enough damage to do a critical blow, but enough to be able to fend off your opponents, as they've just been doing a lot of scouting. Marine quickly getting cleaned up by a lot of Zerglings once again, and the Zerglings finally, with that metabolic boost, able to return home. At some point, I suspect MoMan to try to take this high ground expansion. He needs to take that high ground expansion, as he knows as his opponent is already expanding to his natural. As a Zerg player, you always want to be 1 up on expansions, just because you can transfer drones much more easily, you can train drones much more easily, and then in order to use that better, higher yield of mining rate, that's what you want to do. So MoMan, listening to what I have to say, setting up another hatchery over here, and we'll be able to mine from an additional 8 mineral patches. Vikings still on the move, relatively low on hit points though, so down to 44 already. But with no Hydralisk and only Mutalisk being trained, I believe that Viking is in relative safety for quite some time. Back over here, we now see a reactor on that starport. We'll be able to double train medevacs. So there's already 2 medevacs in play. Combat shield now being researched, in addition to the infantry level 1 weapons upgrade. So level 1 weapons upgrade should be really, really helpful, as these units now try to move out and try to deal some more damage. Banelings already on that front door, just holding, and both players still playing a game of Sim StarCraft as MoMan takes up his 3rd base. Vikings still on patrol. Same thing with these Mutalisks. The Mutalisks are perhaps expecting a drop to come in. That's why they're trying to fly in between these 2 bases here, expecting a drop. A drop could be happening if DieStar wanted to try to execute one, but it looks like DieStar is just simply happy sitting in his base and not really doing anything else right now. Terran infantry armor level 1 now being researched. In addition, level 1 weapons upgrade already completed. More medevacs being trained. Mules being called in. Economic game, 1620 versus 1480. Both sides once again fairly even. Production tab not showing all too much. The hatchery is now completed, and now another hatchery being placed down. Where is that hatchery being placed down? Over here. Wow, giant hatchery. And missed it. So yeah, that hatchery will be placed down here, and that will allow him to get more larvae and be able to produce and train up more and more units, getting that queued up. So MoMan really playing more of a macro style game. We also see a lot of Banelings currently being morphed. So those Banelings are going to be very, very critical, as well as we now have another Queen trying to spawn larvae, trying to get more and more larvae out of here, as those Banelings do not have any upgrades whatsoever. They have the level, will be getting the level 1 armor upgrades, So those Marines are going to have a little bit of a difficult time. There are medevacs in the air. Mutalisk now trying to come in, and now Zergling's trying to come in as well. There are siege tanks back over here, so beautifully placed by DieStar. DieStar making sure to limit the amount of damage, splitting up his Marines. However, those siege tanks were cleaned up by those Mutalisks, as those Marines did not want to take that Baneling splash damage. And now MoMan will have to try to fight off against another very, very large army of Stim Pack Combat Shield Marines with medevac support. Mutalisk getting a little bit too close, and that is a horrible, horrible fight. Really, DieStar just cleaning up many of this fights now as more Zerglings are still being produced, and with no roaches coming in anywhere, I believe these Marines should be able to at least get some damage done. And now another siege tank caught out of position, and now Marines dropping up onto that high ground. However, by picking up those Marines had to be re-dropped down, and I believe that gave MoMan just enough time to deal damage and finish off the rest of those Marines. Mutalisk trying to give chase. Zergling's going to do a quick surround there. Down it goes. We now have 5 Mutalisks, all very, very low on hit points. Down goes another medevac, and perhaps we should be seeing some queens with some transfusions in order to get those Mutalisks back up to full health. Once again, we now have a new army coming in from DieStar, so DieStar not relenting on his production, and now coming out with a new group of Marines and medevacs now on the move. Those Mutalisks are going to be in a little bit of trouble, as these Marines, with stim pack and armor upgrades and weapons upgrade, are going to be able to absorb a lot of damage. It will be very critical to see what the Banelings are going to be able to deal against this army. It once again should be flanked. Mutalisks maybe trying to come in from the back. Siege tanks and Zerglings now trying to come in, and now in come those Mutalisks. Now Mutalisks doing a good job picking off some of those Marines. Marines are getting split between the two. Banelings trying to splash, able to melt a couple more Marines once again, and now DieStar in trouble as those medevacs going to get cleaned up. Production wise, we do see a planetary fortress over here upgrading, so doing a great job. And apparently a player is currently lagging as those Mutalisks now trying to come back in. We now see Marines once again stimming, trying to get underneath those Mutalisks, and now more Banelings being hatched. But I believe those Marines are going to be able to finish off those Baneling conclusions very easily. Down they go. So no deadly Greenland mine there, as these Marines now once again try to establish this Naga watchtower. More Banelings sitting over here, so MoMan doing a great job, but I'm still curious as to why no damage upgrades on those Banelings. The Banelings would be able to deal 43 damage, which is a significant upgrade compared to its 35. I believe it's 43. Or is it 39 to 43? I'll have to double check that for you, as MoMan now also getting a hatchery here and a hatchery here. Planetary Fortress is up. No armor upgrades, no auto tracking upgrades, just your run-of-the-mill, difficult to kill Planetary Fortress, and no impossible to kill with Zerglings once those Planetary Fortress has that natural armor upgrade. Or that, sorry, not the natural armor upgrade, but the Engineering Bay upgrade. Armory is down, so we are going to be getting the level 2 weapons upgrade, and now a second armory being placed down. So are we going to see some mech upgrades as well, or perhaps some Terran arrow upgrades? DieStar able to once again re-establish his army very easily production-wise, and now also training up Thor. So DieStar not relenting on his production, and now able to get back up to a 2,000 mineral army, currently training up 7 Marines at a time from multiple barracks, 4 of them with reactors, so he could probably train up even more and not really tie down or slow down his Marauder production if he was trying to train up more Marauders. Back over here, you can see MoMan now going into more of a heavy gas play, as Zerg wants as much gas as it can get for those higher tier units, being able to unload all of them relatively quickly. These Banelings just dancing back and forth, just sitting there, able to just perhaps blow up sometime soon. 4,000 mineral versus 3,900. Mutalisk quickly coming in, finishing off that one particular lone Marine there, as a Thor now joining in on that fight. We'll see how MoMan responds. Will he be using that magic box technique? Most likely. There are currently 3 missile turrets at the natural expansion, and those missile turrets may be a little bit of a problem. Down goes one, down goes another, and I believe one missile turret now going to be auto-repaired. Yeah, auto-repaired, and now able to take down and deal a lot of damage across multiple Mutalisks. That's going to be a problem. Those Mutalisks need to back off. And wow, even without the Terran building armor upgrades, and with the Mutalisks having the level 1 weapons upgrade, unable to shoot down one missile turret. So more missile turrets once again being re-established, but that was a lot of damage dealt across multiple Mutalisks. forcing these mules to once again retreat. Another Marine activating this Naga Watchtower will quickly get cleaned up. However, a round of Javelin missiles may be coming in, and Marines able to stim in, get some damage, and now in comes some Zerglings. The Zerglings catching DieStar right as he unsieged his tanks, and that was an absolutely brutal mistake, as those Banelings are simply going to roll in, deal a lot of damage. Mutalisk now trying to come in as well, perhaps trying to get some damage onto some of those Marines. Marines taking a lot of damage once again. And now, in terms of an army trade, I believe DieStar was a little bit ahead there just because he was able to save so many of those Marines, saving Marines against those Mutalisks, and now those Mutalisks being forced to pull back. But production, 46 Zerglings. A lot of Zerglings now being trained up as drones being transferred to a new location. And now DieStar has quickly discovered these expansions over here, so will be making its way with his army to the north. Level 1 weapon or level 2 weapons upgrade. So those Marines going to be able to deal 8 damage per attack. And now coming in to snipe down this hatchery, but in comes some drones, and just leading the line as the Mutalisks are going to be able to finish off some of those Marines trying to split up, but the Mutalisks are going to be able to pick them apart once again. And now the sheer macro production of MoMan coming back in, so both sides doing a lot of damage towards each other. This game is going back and forth, but the economy is definitely in the hands of the Zerg player. I believe the Terran player should be able to set up a planetary fortress here, and at some point establish that as another base. But now in come Marines trying to finish off many of those Mutalisks, and there are some medevacs now finally joining in. Those Marines have to be careful, leaving 3 Marines to die to 3 Banelings. A pretty even trade there, as DieStar now comes in with some siege tanks as well. It looks as though all the missile turrets have been taken down, and now a swarm of Zerglings going after those Marines trying to stim away, trying to get back down over here. And now one Thor coming in as well. That Thor may get surrounded, and that Thor, doesn't do the job, doesn't finish off that Mutalisk. The Mutalisk was down to 4 hit points, but will live to fight another day. Upgrading to a planetary fortress here, as DieStar knows he needs to take up another base. Zerglings now coming in with more Banelings. Mutalisks still in the air, as they're never on the ground, and should be able to run in. This is a fair number of Banelings, and the Banelings may simply be able to suicide straight in. The Banelings do have that level 1 weapons upgrade, 39 damage against those Marines. Marines do have level 1 armor, so down to 38, but that's going to be a lot of damage to absorb. Siege tanks trying to take down some of those Zerglings. The siege tank doesn't have the level 1 weapons upgrade, and now Banelings simply coming in, melting them once again, and Mutalisks now flying in after those Marines. There are going to be 1 missile turret, I believe, coming online in just a moment. I believe that may get taken down, and as this expansion goes out, as there are no missile turrets and only a planetary fortress to fight off a bunch of air units, DieStar says GG. So, good game here on Metalopolis between DieStar and MoMan. Thanks for watching, thanks for listening. I hope you guys enjoyed this game. A quick recap, MoMan was simply just able to macro up and reproduce his army much more quickly. We see the level 3 infantry upgrades coming online, but I believe DieStar knew that this was just the beginning of the end. His army was not that strong. His macro was starting to ramp up once again, but with the sheer army size at 2425 versus 950, and knowing that he is currently behind in harvesters by a lot, he does have a lot of mules currently mining off of 4 mules. He knew that as soon as those mules died, he wouldn't be able to stay within that game very much longer. Thanks for watching, thanks for listening once again.